Is Sami Al-Arian. He's director of the Center for Islam and Global Affairs at Istanbul Sabahattin Zaim University. Professor, thank you for your time. I don't know how you've done it because this topic is so frustrating and heart-wrenching, but you've studied, you've spoken about it, you've written about the structural nature of the Gaza conflict. From your perspective, though, how does the repeated pattern of ceasefire breaches and military operations reflect on that systematic framework?
We're back to what we started with. You have an Israel led by right-wing fanatics, Nazi type, like Netanyahu, Ben Gvir, and Smotrich. They were dragged into this deal. All what they wanted was to continue their genocide because they are bent on occupation and forced immigration, forced expulsion of the Palestinians. So at every moment, every juncture, they try to find justification to restart the war. If you just look at what happened the past 11, today's the 11th day of this stopping of the war, supposedly. They have not released all the people that they have admitted of basically hijacking and capturing the women and children. Not all the corpses have been returned, the Palestinian corpses. They have not even handed over the lists of the people that they hold. The aid has not been getting into Gaza. They were supposed to deliver 4,200 trucks every week. Only trickled is going in right now, probably no more than 200. When you look at the crossings, they were obliged to open all 5 crossings. They are hardly open at all. And they're supposed to be open on both sides. The equipment that they were supposed to try to find their corpses, the captives' corpses, they have not been given to the Palestinians in order to help out. Let's remember also that in the past 10 days, Palestinians lost 100 people. So your correspondent said there were at least 80 violations, which is probably on the low side. So when you look at all this, it is very clear which side is trying to make sure that this deal does not go forward.
When you do look at all of this, do you actually get a sense that what's happening now, the ceasefire phase 1, phase 2, going to be discussed coming up this week, will lead to a change in the systematic framework that you just discussed in Gaza? Do you have hope at all for it? Or will everything end up negatively for the Palestinians?
We have a structural problem. The Trump plan, the one that he presented first to the Arab and Muslim leaders, and then he revised it after talking to Netanyahu, has real problems within it. Now, Hamas's response looked at these problems and said, we look at Trump's plan and we find there are 2 categories to it. The first is the things that we control, basically the release of the hostages, pending the conditions that we set. If these conditions are met, we're willing to release the hostages. These were 5 conditions. They were partially met in that plan. So they conceded on the issue of withdrawal, but they were asking for guarantees that this war would end, this genocide would end. Trump says, I am the guarantor. And then they exchanged the prisoners, even though the Palestinian side was shortchanged on this one. And then the resumption and delivery of the aid, as well as the future reconstruction and rehabilitation. And then they said for the other parts of that plan, we cannot make a commitment because it's not our decision. We are not mandated to make that decision on behalf of the Palestinians. And therefore, that decisions, these issues, the issue of the day after, who's going to be ruling the future of Gaza, the entrance of international forces, this so-called peace plan, this Tony Blair council, and being the new high commissioner, all that, we can't make these decisions. Trump ignored that part and he said, oh, they accepted my plan, but they did not. They said, we can accept this part of the plan. The other part of the plan, we have to be part of a Palestinian collective to make these decisions. So looking forward, I think the Israelis are trying to take advantage of this loophole in which they try to get the Americans to agree that Hamas is in violation, the resistance is in violation, and therefore they would like to resume their genocide.
Speaking of which, President Trump is is framing the ceasefire violations as a Hamas issue. He's called the group rambunctious. How do you evaluate the international media coverage specifically of the ceasefire violations?
Some of them are fair, but most of them, particularly Western legacy media, they only look at it from the Israeli lens. Everybody is talking about 12 bodies that they haven't been, or 14 bodies that they haven't been handed over, knowing fully well that Hamas from day one said that we don't know exactly where these bodies are. A lot of them were killed by the Israelis along with their captives. We know roughly where they are. They're probably under rubble somewhere. We need the equipment to do so. But everybody ignores that there are tens of thousands of Palestinian bodies. It's like Palestinians don't count. Only Israelis count. Only Israeli living ones, the 21 count. Only Israeli dead ones count. Everybody else has no mention, no count, nothing. And it just shows the type of media you have. They only see things in Israeli lens.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. And I took all your point. Thank you so much for that, Professor Al-Arian. Appreciate it.